Hi, welcome to the Linda and Laura Show. Unfortunately, Laura is unable to be here today, so you're stuck with Linda. But I do have two wonderful guests today, and we're going to talk about the Joe Marshall's Veterans Center here at Birstol Community College. I was very impressed with all that they do there. It's run by Denny Cosmo, who does a phenomenal job. And I received an email I don't know, a couple of weeks ago that said they were looking for volunteers to do the drive-by food mart from 8 in the morning till midnight, 8 till noon. So I decided, okay, I'll come. I could not believe the system that they had, you know, 2 rows of people and just putting food, you know, packaging food into bags. And then when I saw the line of cars that came around to grab food, I was in awe. People come, they don't have to get out of their car, they open their trunk or their back door, and the food is put right into the car. And they serve an average of 550 to 600 people once a month. And what did we were talking about that earlier. What day is that on?
It is the second Thursday of every month.
Second Thursday of the month. And this is Ashley and John, who are part of the Birstol Community College student population. They are both veterans. John, I see he has on his U.S. Air Force shirt, and Ashley was in the Army. So tell me how you found out about the Birstol, the Joe Marshall Center, Ashley.
When I first started school here, I was getting emails from Denny Cosmo, who is the director of the Student Veterans of America chapter here at Birstol. And I finally decided to see what it was about. You know, I've been out of the military since 2014, and I haven't really gotten involved in the veteran community, so I kind of wanted to just see what it was about. And I met with him, and I started a work study with him, and I have been there since fall of last year. And
you feel that you have gotten a lot out of it?
I
the
have.
Camaraderie?
I have. Everybody working with us is great in the work study. I got the opportunity to go to the Student Veterans of America National Conference at Disney in January, and it was a lot of like breakout sessions and classes all about veterans and how to help your community and bring it all back, and it was an amazing opportunity.
Wow. And John, how did you find out about the Joe Marshall Center here in BCC?
Originally, when I started my journey at BCC here, I had no idea it existed. I actually received an email as well from Mr. Cosmo, basically inviting us to go to an event, and I ended up meeting a few other student veterans who seemed to get along with pretty well. Started networking with them a little bit more. They brought up the work-study program as well. I then also got invited to go to the Student Veterans of America National Conference. Went down there for about 6 days and made some great friendships down there, at which point in time Mr. Cosmo had mentioned to me the work-study program. At the time I was actually working full-time for the VA over in Providence, and I realized that after speaking with other students and Denny that maybe it was time for me to leave that position, do the work-study, and also focus on my education from here on out. And it actually proved to work out pretty well. Just the networking and things like that that we have available to us have been priceless.
Explain what the work-study program is exactly.
So predominantly we work in the Veterans Center. We organize events and also assist any with paperwork and tasks that may need to be done here on the campus. One of the big things we focus on is veteran student engagement. So trying to get people to come together, understand that we all have our struggles, that we are a different demographic than what Birstol Community College may typically see, and how to help each other through that. Also, not only in the school life, but also in the personal world, getting out, doing activities, and being productive members of the, surrounding area.
I'm telling you, I'm really happy that I'm hearing all of this, and I think it's a wonderful program that Denny has there, and all of the veterans that participate But I've worked for years and years with veterans. My dad was a World War II veteran. I never understood it, and he never spoke about it at home. It was only after my mom passed, like 30-something, it's already been 30 years, that my dad always went to his Navy reunions, and my mother would accompany him. So now he wanted to go, but he didn't want to go alone. He didn't want to be on a plane alone, stay in a hotel alone. So I started going with him. And going with him and listening to the stories and really hearing what the World War II veterans spoke about, that he then started opening up. And I knew he was on a ship that was bombed 7 times. Luckily, he was in the right place at the right time. And it was amazing. So I work a lot with all of the veteran groups in Fall River. I'm actually one of the liaisons from the City Council to the Veterans Group. So the Veterans War Council has members, delegates from all of the various groups in Fall River. But they're getting older. It's a great group of men and women, but they're getting older. There's more men, very few women who participate. I do know that at Pine Street, the Boyd Center, Mr. Boyd was the chaplain for the Veterans War Council for many years, and he passed away, and I petitioned to name the building after him. He was just so genuine. But, you know, they do a lot of stuff there as well, and they're pushing more to have like a women's social and get women together. But how do we incorporate that, you know, we put all the veteran groups together? You have to get the younger ones, like you know, to become involved, because you're right. Nobody knows the experiences of a veteran unless you're a veteran. I can think that I know them, but I don't. But you do. You know them. How do we do that? And is that something that they're working on at the Vet Center to try to do more activities, more gatherings for veterans?
It is. One of the big struggles that we deal with, too, is not only the fact that a lot of times it's hard for us to come out of our shell. You know, in the Veteran Center, it's much easier because we're all among friends and we all joke, we laugh. But trying to draw someone into that can be quite difficult. So obviously breaking that shell is the first step. The second is we have a lot more going on a lot of times. We have families, we have jobs, we have things like that. So flexibility when it comes to planning events. You know, a lot of times events happen during the day. Well, if you're a veteran that, you know, is working full time or has children, that's not always going to work for you. So we try to do events on the weekend, evenings. For instance, we run, you know, a trivia group that goes out together. We are doing a trail adoption to make sure it's on the weekend when people can actually come out with their families.
Tell us about the trail adoption.
Well, we got in touch with the head forester of Fall River. And
Mr. Labasia?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
very nice gentleman.
He is very nice. And we are working on adopting the trail. It's the Tatapanum Trail
Right.
in the Watupa Reservation.
Yep.
It's really close to the school. And we're going to do like monthly cleanups of the trail and just trying to get other students and veterans involved. I am also speaking with the commander of the VFW here in Fall River and see if they want to be included. That way we can get more veterans involved, not just the student veterans from the school.
Well, there is a War Council meeting coming up, and Mr. Gonzalez, who you spoke of, at the commander of the VFW, he's a member of that as well. And there is a meeting this Thursday at 6:30 at City Hall. And that might be something that you'd like to come and present stuff to. The commander of the War Veterans Council is Charlie Denmead. Mr. Denmead, I can pass that information on to you, because we want to figure out a way to put people together. And you're right, working, it's difficult. Like, I go to a lot of veterans events. Some of my colleagues can't go because of work, children, etc. But I go to those. And when they're on weekends, I still go, because I think it's important to show your support. It's easy for somebody to say, thank you for your service. But I've seen the other side of thank you for your service. I've seen the PTSD, the depression, you know, the visual images in your brain, in your mind, that you can't escape from. Veterans who tell me, I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes in a cold sweat thinking of something, a noise that triggers people. For some veterans, 4th of July and fireworks is really tough.
Right.
And I don't think that we all look at that and kind of understand that. Those are the things that I think only a veteran would understand. And I know that at the Pine Street, the Boyd Center, they are trying to do more stuff with women. Has anybody reached out to you about that?
No, not yet.
How many women veterans are in this center? Is there more than?
We have 4 of us that are working in the center right now. When I had gone to the national conference, I had gotten in touch with the Focus Forward Fellowship. It's all for women veterans. It's at Purdue University in Indiana, and it's a week-long like training thing. It's all women veterans, and you learn like stuff about like how to incorporate your schooling and transferring, transitioning into the military, and then you take that back with you. And I'm hoping that I can take everything I learned back with me and get more women veterans involved.
Well, that's great. There's also a veterans kitchen that happens every Wednesday at about 11 o'clock at the old Corky Row Club.
Okay.
And there are some women veterans there. You should stop by, have lunch, and speak to some of them, because they feel like they don't have that niche, and they're looking for that kind of niche. And I like the word that you used about transitioning, to transition from the military where everything is regimented and you kind of, okay, this is what we're going to do at this time and this time and this time, and then you come out of, out of service, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? You kind of get lost in that. Do you feel that, John?
That is a very difficult task. And one thing, the program that I actually learned about while I was at the national conference and through another one of the VA work study students, is there's actually a program called Warrior Scholar. It's a 1-week program where it's offered at universities across the United States. In fact, this summer I'm going to be going to MIT for a week. It's essentially a boot camp, a military-style boot camp, where they teach you study tactics and academic related, but how to take what you learned in the military and apply it to your civilian and academic lifestyle. And it's a free program that's offered, so why not, take advantage of it if you can.
Absolutely.
And the only thing you have to pay is how do you get there. And after that, everything's provided for you, and at the very least you can do some networking, because you might find a program offered at a certain school that you never knew existed.
I think that's wonderful to have programs like that to assist, and with study habits and what you want to do now, what's the next phase of life, because you're still young, both of you are still young. I think that's great. There really is a lot in Fall River for veterans. We really take pride in Fall River to take care of our veterans. It's not it's not just that we say thank you, we do above and beyond. I mean, we have a veteran that needed to have a shower that he could get in and out of, and Rolling Thunder, which is a group that helps veterans, and they have people who are plumbers, electricians, what have you. They're literally building this bathroom for this gentleman, putting in the shower for him.
Wow.
So, there's a lot that happens. Now, at the Joe Marshall Center, do you have to be a veteran to be there, or can you be a family member of a veteran, a widow of a veteran, a child of a veteran? Is there? Tell me about that.
No, you can be a veteran or military connected, we call them. We have one student there who his father was in the military, and he does so much with the Veterans Center. To do the work study program, you have to be a veteran, but everybody is welcome in the Veterans Center. We have students that come in just to hang out and do homework. So we kind of make it open to everybody.
That's great that they, have that kind of flexibility, especially to children of veterans. I was very impressed the day that I came to the drive-by food mart, the drive-through food mart, that there was numbers of volunteers there. Not all were veterans. Some were veterans. Some were professors from BCC or other colleges, and some were young students who are not veterans, are not military connected in any way, but wanted to show support. There had to be at least 50 people there. I was really amazed at what I saw. But in Fall River, there are a lot of things. We're having a Memorial Day parade, and we're already planning for that. Maybe that's something that you'd want to get involved with too. And it's a way to meet, to meet other people. But BCC is really such a great community. It really is a hidden gem in our city. And it's a great associate college to come in, get your feet wet, and have a lot of support around you, I think. And I attended BCC for different courses. And even after graduating with my degree from, a 4-year university, et cetera, I still like BCC because they have different talks that you can, get involved with. They have lots of things on YouTube that they'll show the history of Fall River. Just amazing. There was a gentleman that did a whole series on the Holocaust, and it just gives you so much, and you hear other people's views on things. It educates you. I believe that education is a lifelong process. We learn every single day. What is it that you think the city could help to do, or people could help to do, to raise awareness of the center and what you have? Is there something?
Ashley?
I'm not sure. Like you said, there's a lot going on. I think mainly just publicizing it more, because I wasn't aware of all the things that Fall River has. I do live in Attleboro, so I'm not really, I don't look for things to do in Fall River, but I think mainly if it was publicized a little more, so that everybody would know, and then we could probably look into it more, and then try and do events through us. But
I think one of the big things would definitely be getting out in the community more and hosting events. As we can all admit, the last few years have been up and down, and we've all had to adapt. Well, it's time to start breaking out of our shell again, and seeing the public and being involved in the community. But also, once we start doing that, more people will be attracted and understand what we actually do. Even here on the campus, I run into students sometimes that doesn't know the Veteran Center's there. They don't know that it's a place they can come to help with their studies or anything like that. So again, just getting back out there and through word of mouth, I think, is really going to be one of our best avenues.
And I think that that's a good thing in bringing everyone together. Maybe we should think of having an event like that, bringing every member of the War Veterans Council together with the Boyd Center, with the Vets Kitchen, with Joe Marshall Center here. Bring everybody together. If everybody worked together, it would blossom. I think that sometimes people try to just keep a shell of, this is my organization, I'm a member of this, and this is what I do, and you're a member here, and this is what you do, rather than pool all of our resources together, because I think it would do a lot. Joe Marshall, I've had the pleasure, I've known Joe for several years, but I had the pleasure of working with him on the Vietnam Memorial Wall, and he was the chairperson of that and did a phenomenal job with raising money and accomplishing a goal that we had. It took us 2.5, 3 years, but we did get it done. We're blessed to have Battleship, Massachusetts here, and all that has to offer. We have the Colonial, the Lafayette House in Fall River on Cherry Street, and it's amazing. And they do reenactments, which, maybe we need to do some type of a tour of Fall River with all that we have. We have a monument with the Civil War monument, and our cemetery in Fall River, Oak Grove Cemetery, has a location that's specific to that. We have a wonderful park with the World War II Iwo Jima monument, the Korean War monument, the Italian War monument, and there is one that we're working on now. I'm trying to get all these things in one place. There was a World War I monument that was built for the French community, and it was put at the Notre Dame Church. That unfortunately caught fire, and they built a new church.
Right.
But they have a beautiful statue there. If you drive around Fall River, there's a lot of memorials to veterans, and I don't think there's a book that says who this person was, what they did. The Polish community has a wonderful ceremony for their fallen heroes. The Irish have one down at Griffin Park for someone who passed on. Like, let's talk about these people. Fall River has a lot of men and women who served in the military. I think we're probably the higher population. But then there's some things that I get frustrated with a little bit. Because don't tell me you appreciate me and not give to me. But like Chapter 115 is, if someone's not making enough money, you can apply for Chapter 115 as a veteran and get additional funding. However, the cap that the state sets for how much you can make, I think is too low. I think that that cap needs to be raised a bit so it would give more people the opportunity to be able to apply. So there's always little things like that that we look at to figure out how we can make life better for our veterans. But are you're married, you have children as well?
I have a 1-year-old daughter.
A 1-year-old, and you?
I have a 19 and 14.
Wow. Different stages.
Yep.
Yeah.
Huh? Very different stages. Do you ever talk to them about the military? Not your 1-year-old, obviously, but your 14 and 19-year-old. Do you share with them your experiences?
I do. My 14-year-old, she lives with her dad, who is also a veteran. So she's still kind of young. My 19-year-old was in Navy JROTC in high school, and she was all set for going in the military. She wanted to follow in mom's footsteps, and then she kind of got into the teenage part of it, so that's on hold right now. But she was with me. She was 3 when I joined the military, so she was with me through it all. I got in, my first duty station was Fort Hood, and she had her own little uniform, and she knows a lot about the military.
Did you find it difficult when you came out of the military with your children? Did your children have a hard time adjusting?
Well, when I got pregnant with my youngest, I got off of active duty, and I was in the National Guard. So my youngest hasn't really had the military experience. Her dad got out of the military when she was quite young too. So she hasn't really had the military experience. My oldest, it wasn't really that hard of a transition for her.
And the reason that I asked that, I have a cousin who was in the Air Force for 25, 30 years and had 3 children. And when they came back to this area, his daughter had a hard time. The kids had a hard time because they had lived with seeing so much more of the world. They lived in Germany for a while, they lived in Spain for a while. They just experienced so many different cultures that they found when they came back and were in high school here that people were more closed-minded, that they hadn't had that broad experience. You know, and they did talk about that. And they did, I think, meet with somebody at the VA to kind of talk about things like that. And I'm wondering, that's perfect what the Joe Marshall Center and other centers here have to help with the transitioning, not only of the veteran, but also of the veteran's family. You know, I think that it's a twofold to do. I think you do a marvelous job. At that center, I give kudos to Jenny Cosmo. I am so happy that you're both here and sharing the story with our viewers to let them know, and this is one way to open up the doors to let people know that you are here, you do exist, and that all are welcome to come. And also, we have a new VSO, Veteran Service Officer in Fall River, who is also a veteran. Her name is Michelle Hamilton, and I think she did come to a meeting that they had here. But she too is very open-armed to help out, to bring veterans together, and she does a tremendous amount of work with Rolling Thunder. And they have different events. And we have venues here to have events and bring veterans together. I'd be more than happy to help out with that as well as part of the liaison position.
That would be nice.
But
I look forward to it.
I would just like to thank you all so very much for coming in, sharing your stories, and sometimes
you.
it's not easy to share. But thank you so much. Continued success, good luck, and I hope that your education takes you far.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.